Picture a warm, quiet Friday afternoon on the Canadian Prairies, June 22nd, 2007. You're in Elie, Manitoba, a tight-knit town of about 500 people, and roughly 40 kilometers west of Winnipeg. Kids are getting ready for summer break. People are coming home from work, and farm fields stretch out as far as the eye can see. By mid-afternoon, though, the air starts to feel a little bit sticky, heavy, and hot. The temperature climbs to about 28 Celsius or about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and moisture from the Gulf of Mexico pushes north into Manitoba. Meanwhile, high in the atmosphere, a cool, dry air mass comes racing down from the west across the Canadian Rockies. When warm, humid air collides with cold, dry upper-level air over flat terrain, you get massive atmospheric instability. But that afternoon, there was a third ingredient: extreme wind shear. Winds at different heights blowing in different directions at high speeds. By 4 p.m., the skies turn an eerie, bruised green-gray color. The wind drops completely still. Birds stop singing. It goes quiet. The stage is set for an event that no one in Canadian history had ever witnessed before. Welcome to the Border City Kids When Nature Strikes. I'm your host, Bryan, and this is the story of the Elie, Manitoba F5 tornado. Let's look at the events that transpired that day, June 22nd, 2007. 4 p.m. Environment Canada meteorologists spot terrifying radar signatures building over southern Manitoba. A severe thunderstorm watch is immediately issued. This is not out of the ordinary. This is something that happens all the time. At 6 p.m., storm clouds loom over Portage La Prairie and head straight toward Cartier and Elie. Rain begins to fall in torrents, and heavy thunder shakes window panes across the valley. 6:25 p.m. Spotters on the ground see a funnel cloud lowering just south of Highway 1. Environment Canada upgrades the watch to a tornado warning. And the alert is something like this. Environment Canada has issued a tornado warning for the rural municipality of Cartier, including Elie. Now, let's talk about the preparation. This is the key moment that saved lives during this event. When that warning blared on televisions, car radios, and weather bands, the people of Elie, they didn't panic. What they did is they acted. Number one, they didn't waste time looking at the windows for something out of the ordinary. Residents went straight to their basements or central windowless rooms to be protected. Number two, they protected their heads. Families covered themselves with thick blankets, mattresses, and helmets. Number three, neighbors checked on neighbors. People rushed elderly residents and visitors into storm-safe areas before hiding themselves. Within 5 to 10 minutes of the warning, nearly every resident in the path of the storm was underground or sheltered behind solid concrete basement walls. They were well protected. Let's continue the timeline. At 6:30 p.m., the funnel touches down. At first, it looks like a narrow rope-like F1 tornado kicking up dirt in the farm fields. Then, something bizarre begins to happen. Something that doesn't happen in Canada and hasn't happened before and hasn't happened since. Most tornadoes race across the ground at 50 to 80 kilometers an hour, but the Elie tornado slows down to a crawl, moving at less than 10 kilometers per hour. The tornado is barely moving, staying very concentrated in a very small area. 35 full minutes It hovers over the exact same square kilometer of town. 6:45 p.m. The storm intensifies into a violent vortex. As it turns dark black from debris, it enters a residential street. Inside their basements, families hear a sound like a freight train idling directly over their roofs. The winds reach a speed of about 420 kilometers per hour. The storm tears the roof off a modern 2-story home. It shatters structural walls, snaps heavy support beams, and then picks up the entire frame of the house right into the air. The entire house swirls in midair inside the funnel, disintegrating into splinters. It picks up a 70-ton GM grain truck and tosses it down the road. It lifts cars like plastic toys and rips mature trees completely out of the soil, stripping their bark clean off. Because it sits stationary and doesn't move, it acts like a giant blender, grinding over the same neighborhood for nearly half an hour. 7:05 p.m. The funnel lifts back into the cloud deck. The roaring wind begins to fade into a terrifying silence. Residents climb up their basement stairs, only to open the doors and look straight up into the open sky. Their houses are completely gone. 4 well-built modern homes were wiped completely clean off their concrete foundations. Dozens of other homes were heavily damaged, and power lines carpeted the streets. Debris was scattered for kilometers. When emergency responders rushed to Elie, they braced for catastrophic loss of life. But when the roll call was finished, the result was a miracle. Fatalities, 0. Serious injuries, 0. But let's ask ourselves, how did a community hit by an F5 tornado suffer 0 deaths? We always see the number up into the tens, hundreds. It came down to early warnings, proper preparation, and basement shelters. Weeks later, Environment Canada completed a structural survey of the anchor bolts and foundation destruction. On July 18, 2007, they officially rated the storm as an F5, making it the first and only confirmed F5 tornado in Canadian history. The story of Elie didn't end on June 22nd. The true heart of this story is what happened in the months and years that followed the tornado. Rebuild and resilience. The morning after the storm, volunteers from across Manitoba flooded into Elie. Neighbors who lost everything opened their doors to other families who lost everything, and people helped people. Local businesses donated food, clothing, and construction supplies. The rebuilding process focused on making the community stronger than it was before. So what did this include? Impact-resistant construction. New homes were built with enhanced structural tie-downs and reinforced hurricane straps attaching roofs to walls. Dedicated storm shelters in the area. They were rebuilt structures, prioritized reinforced basement shelters and safe rooms. Updated warning networks, of course. The event helped trigger major upgrades to Canada's severe weather alert systems, ensuring faster warnings for the prairie towns. This gave them lots more time to prepare themselves and get to a spot in the basement. Within a year, streets that had looked like a war zone were lined with new, stronger homes. Elie became a global symbol of how community preparation and human resilience can overcome nature's most violent storms. When you look at the events on June 22, 2007, it's easy to focus on purely the raw, awe-inspiring numbers. A storm with 420 km/h winds. A house that lifted into the air just like paper. The only F5 tornado in Canadian history. Those facts are incredible, yes, But to me, the real takeaway from this storm isn't just about the fury of nature. It's about the strength of people. That afternoon proved two huge things. First, it proved that respecting the weather and being prepared saves lives. The people of Elie didn't second guess the warning. They didn't stand by the window to take videos until it was too late. They acted fast. And because of that, every single person walked away to tell their own story to others. Second, it showed us what community resilience really means. Nature can tear down walls, peel away roofs, and sweep clean the land, but it can't erase the human spirit. The way Elie came together, the way neighbors lifted each other up out of the dust and rebuilt stronger than ever, is the true legacy of that day. Nature is powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes terrifying. But when we match its power with knowledge, preparation, and unity, we can weather any storm. Thank you for joining me today on the Border City Kids When Nature Strikes. If you love this episode, be sure to hit the follow button, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to leave us a review and share this episode with a friend who loves incredible science and survival stories. And until next time, keep exploring, stay prepared, and respect the power of nature. We will catch you on the next episode. Have a good weekend.